is not centered over land. That was one of the inhibiting factors the last couple of days, but it is still dealing with this upper level low that's producing the wind shear. Now, one bad thing about that wind shear, which is mostly good to keep tropical systems in check, right? But it is making the system lopsided, and that's making Florida to continuously, and I think for the next couple of days, be on the wet side of this lopsided system. And the thunderstorms that are over water, you see those overshooting tops as we lose the sunlight for the day. That's what the hurricane hunters have been flying through. It's got to be a really bumpy, uncomfortable ride. So thank those men and women for doing that job. That is not always too fun. And it's been gusty. With the observations that we do have, you can see that broad area of spin. But look at this band that's been going over the Keys, now getting to the South Florida Peninsula. We've had a number of locations in the Keys gusted well over 40 miles per hour, and Homestead has gusted near 30. Marco Island starting to get the rain to begin, and the metro areas of southeast Florida could have some locally heavy downpours that could lead to some isolated flooding overnight tonight. There's where the hurricane hunter is. So they went from the west to the east side of the system, not finding any tropical storm force winds yet, and the hurricane specialists at the Hurricane Center are going to have to go through that data carefully to see if, in their estimation, if the wind data means we've got a well-defined center and do we have a depression again. In any case, we're expecting a depression overnight tonight, maybe in a storm by tomorrow, and making landfall maybe as a mid-grade tropical storm late on Monday, which means you've got a chance of tropical storm force winds southeast Louisiana over to the Florida Panhandle, and those winds could start Monday morning. So we're getting close to that time where we should have tropical storm watches up if the Hurricane Center's confidence continues to be high enough that will, in fact, redevelop. Here's what the GFS model has, an area of low pressure that gets a little better organized, but look how lopsided it is, how much moisture will continue to be on the east side and eventually getting up into the Appalachians. So we're going to have the flood risk tomorrow for much of the southeast U.S. increasing as we go into the early part of next week, Mark.
All right, Dr. Neff, thank you for that. Meteorologist Paul Goodlow. He's in Marco Island this evening. Paul, the skies have looked threatening all afternoon. This is kind of going to be the way it works, right, in and out of the storms.
And we have another storm coming in right now. I had a beautiful shelf cloud approach us, but that means wind and rain. We're seeing that right now. It's just beginning across the area. This is really our third wave of rain we had here across Marco Island as we're dealing with kind of the overall flow with what's left of Fred. I want to bring in Mike McNeese, city manager here in Marco Island. First of all, thanks for coming out and joining us with the rain here. But let's talk about the threat for activity, tropical activity, not just with Fred, but you've got Grace down the line. How is this island prepared for potential impacts directly from the tropics?
Well, for us, during hurricane season, it's pretty much a continuous process of being aware of what's the next possible threat, how bad could it be, and how early could it arrive. And then everything backs up from that. We have a full set of protocols, the types of things we make sure of. One, that our citizens are aware of what's happening and what we expect and what we're planning. But mundane things like having our generators full of gas and our vehicles ready and all the things staged that we need for here. Street flooding is a big deal, so we make sure we're prepared to deal with things as they come up. We kind of stay in that mode throughout the entire hurricane season, always with one eye out there into the tropics.
And with the tropics, it can be mentioned flooding, but in a general summertime thunderstorm, you can have flooding here in Marco Island.
Absolutely. We can get a real heavy rain pretty much any day. So we try to be nimble with that and do the best we can with it, but sometimes it's just part of living here.
Now, Fred has fallen apart, but forecast to strengthen again, but pass you by here. Is this a kind of a good dry run for the residents?
A little bit. It's kind of a double-edged sword. When people ramp up and then nothing happens, we fear they'll get a little complacent. But we don't have to worry with this one because Grace is right out there. And, we all kind of turn our eyes to that and reset our schedules and keep in gear for that. And hopefully Grace proves to be no more threat than Fred did.
And for those of people who have not perhaps, so this is in their wake-up call, where can they go? Who can they contact here in the city to get more information about how they can be storm ready?
We have on our city website a lot of information, so that's cityofmarcoisland.com. People can also go to the National Weather Service website for forecasts and track information. They put up some really good graphs and charts and maps that give people information about when and what could happen here. And so between those resources, there's probably enough for people. The Collier County Emergency Management through their website also provides a lot of good information, so people should be able to find it there.
For good information. Thanks for your time. It's Mike McNeese here with the City of Marco Island City Manager. Thanks for your time here. We get him out of the rain. And latest batch of rain coming out in here. This we're expecting with Fred here in terms of direct impacts here at Marco Island is the threat for bands of rain to come through and give us potentially some flooding. In fact, we look at the forecasted radar. Yes, we have this kind of band coming on through right now. The amazing thing is there's no lightning. I was looking long and hard at the radar. This is what's the tropics. The tropical rain is rain at times, pretty intense coming down, but there's no thunderstorm or lightning activity, which is great. We can still come out here and broadcast for you. Otherwise, you got to head inside and you hear that thunder rumble there. But the forecasted radar will show another batch of rain coming through as we head into your Sunday. There will still be dry time. People here vacationing or locals who want to enjoy time at the beach, on the golf course, tennis, the earlier in the day, the better. As we head into perhaps the late afternoon, evening hours, perhaps more storms rolling on through here. So we expect maybe another 2 kind of rounds of rain to come through, one kind of late morning, early afternoon, another one late evening into the nighttime hours, then things should quiet down. Hopefully drier time on Monday, but by that time, our attention farther out towards the east and seeing what Grace has, and hopefully if some of the models hold together, Grace will fall apart as well, long before it even threatens parts of the southeastern U.S. But bottom line is time will tell on that one. Mike?
It's definitely the hope, Paul. Thanks for the reports this evening, and it's likely to get stormier off and on here through the night and the day tomorrow, where Paul is. All right, so let's update you on where we think some of the heaviest effects of Grace will end up being for us here. That could be the southeast as it strengthens and comes into the northern Gulf Coast here. So what we've done here is we've forecasted the atmospheric moisture. So where you have these deep oranges and reds in here, that's where you have high amounts of atmospheric moisture, which then can lead to high amounts of rain. And you can see that really playing out here. If you have, let's just say, for instance, you have, if you go down the center track, you have a landfall of Fred somewhere right in here. Would be the east side where you have the heaviest of rain. If you get Fred, then that may move in a direction like this, where you can get some heavy rain here in Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. That's where you have mountains, which becomes an issue. So tomorrow, widespread storms across the southeast. Here comes Fred on Monday. Heavier rain enhancing our opportunity for flooding come Monday into Tuesday. Spot down here that could be Panama City up toward Montgomery, Alabama. We're watching for that flooding over toward Valdosta. If Fred's sitting, say, conceivably about right there, right at the Mississippi and Alabama state line on Tuesday, heaviest rain could be on the east side. Again, tons of these locations have had a lot of rain in the last several weeks. So the ground's pretty wet right now, and something like this doesn't help. You prod the rain on there, oranges and yellows are bad, all right? That's where you have the heavy rain. In the orange here, right along the coastline, Panama City, half a foot of rain, that could cause some street flooding. Now, the sandy soil helps drain pretty quickly. I don't think that'll necessarily be an issue, but low-lying area streets and interchanges, that's going to be an issue. Then you look at this forecast up into the mountains of western North Carolina and then upstate of South Carolina. A 4 to 5 inch rain could cause mudslides, rock slides along I-40 even if you get some storms that head that far north. But Asheville to Greenville heads up here and what could be coming your way. So 2 distinct areas that could have very heavy rain and different outcomes as a result. All right, so we know we have Fred out there. We have Grace. New advisory, Dr. Ned. What do we know?
Yeah, this is an intermediate public advisory on Grace, and now we have tropical storm warnings for the Dominican Republic and tropical storm watches for the western part of the Dominican Republic. I'll show you that in just a little bit. So things are progressing westward, and I think later tonight or tomorrow, Haiti, unfortunately, will likely go under a watch and then a warning as Grace is now moving through the Leeward Islands. And here's the latest advisory. Max winds still at 40 miles an hour. Now, I'll show you why in just a little bit, but remember earlier how the center was relocated a little bit farther to the south. Now it's been bumped back up to the north a little bit. So they're having to really work hard at the Hurricane Center to keep track of where the center is initially located. But in any case, it's located. See how that up and down in the track in white there? That is an actual motion of the low center. It's relocation and reformation of the center. So it was up here, relocated farther south. Now it's farther north again, just a little bit north of Guadalupe, moving west at 23 miles an hour, still moving very quickly. So there is the tropical storm warning in the eastern parts of the Dominican Republic on the south coast, east of Cabo Calcedo, and east of Samana on the northern coast, and then watches for the rest of the Dominican Republic. Haiti, unfortunately, you're going to be next. Now let's take a look at it on the radar. So here is Guadalupe, and here's where the center circulation was, but now it's estimated to be just a little bit north of Guadalupe. So gusty conditions coming through the rest of the leewards. The